Okay, good morning. This is Simon with ToughTrader.com and Trade and Perform Coaching. I apologize for running late this morning. Let's jump right into it. Before we get going, throw this up. Desktop. I had to do a hard reboot. I don't even know what that means, hard reboot. Sounds good, right? I just had to reboot the computer. There we go. Here we are. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. Please have a risk plan in place. Your risk plan is actually more important than your trade plan. Don't blow yourself up, right? Losses are part of trading. I lose money on occasion. I am sharing my trade plan with you, right? I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes it'll make you a better trader, right? Don't follow me blindly. Take time to learn what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, right? And you can become hopefully a better trader over time. I've gotten very good at helping people become consistent traders. It was a skill I didn't know I had, but I've gotten good at doing that. And in the meantime, I'm sharing my trade plan. We reversed overnight from yesterday's close. So number one, we're on ESH 18 is what I'm discussing, right? The liquidity will probably be on ESZ 17 or ESZ 7, depending on which platform you use. Either way, we reversed the gains from overnight, right? ES is down. NQ is only up 9 points. Number one warning, NQ's had a range of 60 to 100 points for the last 3 days in the first half hour. You may consider just letting that go, right? Letting the first half hour go and seeing where it's at so you don't have a large drawdown, number one, right? I'm all in favor of trading. You don't have to trade in the first half hour when the ranges are that wide. Number two, something's afoot. I don't know what it is. We have not suffered any large damage. Let's get Globex high and low in, and then we'll take a look at the pictures really quick. So Globex high on ES landed at 2639.75. Not quite to the white zone by a stretch. Someone does not have their mic muted. I don't know who, but I just muted again. And then we have a low of 2629. And that was just achieved, right? That puts us all the way back on ES towards the low of the day from yesterday, right? Keep that in mind. This white zone is now resistance immediately above, right? So I want to give a clear picture of that. So I'm going to go to a higher time frame, okay? If you look, this was the big low from December 1st, right? We held this low from the last 2 days, but we really didn't bounce, right? The 50-60 retrace on this, just so you can draw it up, is up here, and we haven't been able to make it back. A healthy market gets back to the 50-60 retrace. We have not retested the lows during the RTH. It's not unheard of, but it would be odd in this situation that we couldn't, right? This whole area, see how this whole area has these large bars versus this choppy action? See where, okay, if you were to take away the line, see where it's getting all choppy in here? See how we got choppy and it served as resistance into this area? See how the bars are big and long and protracted in this area? Didn't mean to do that. That's because there's very little resistance in here or support, right? So it's easy for the market to travel through. Keep that in mind when we're down here, right? These are all a large area of single prints. It's easy for the market to travel through single prints. I went to a higher time frame so you can see this. 2632, if you subtract 20, pitch you in at 2612, right near this low of this large single print. If you take out 30 from 2632, pitch at 2600, and that's between the open gap, basically between two open gaps, right? Top of an open window, which is right here. There's just a bunch of stuff in here that makes sense. This is where you want to look for reversal. What do you want to look for in order to get the reversal? You want to get above, I want to say this again, you want to get above your last seller if you can. Sometimes the market doesn't let you, but a perfect example is right in here. Here's the last seller. We get above. Here's the swing low. Here's the push to the upside. The 50-60 back gives you a perfect entry, right? Once again, you get above the last seller on this bar, right? And you can see the 50-60 back, and it gives you the push to the upside. It's a very common pattern. It's easy to find. you should be hunting that pattern down, particularly when we're in a free fall and traders are just tripping over themselves to get out. Wait till you get above your last seller. It doesn't guarantee you a win, right? But it sure as hell keeps you from getting run over in a situation like this, right? So what I hear traders, the pushback I get from that is, well, what if it U-turns like it does here, right? On whatever time frame you're trading. Well, so what? What if it does, right? Remember, your first objective is to hold on to the money you've made, keep your capital intact, and recognize your highest odds trades. It's not to be the superhero and catch the bottom. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Let me go back over here really quick. We'll kick this into 5 minutes so I don't get caught off guard. We will insert the tick. Do not know. Interesting. Okay. There we go. We will cover yesterday in a minute. NQ. I only have 2 charts today. I do not have the Russell. I have Globex low at 63.15. And I have Globex high at 63.40. 650. Okay, just underneath the 50-60 from swing high on NQ, we just missed that level, right? Just fell short. That tells you they were front running it overnight, is the first thing that it tells you, right? So what's my game plan for today? Before I jump over here real quick, and let me make sure something here real fast. Right click. Okay. And on ES, let's make sure I get the same thing. ES is fine, not going to be a problem. I swear I hear I have an open mic somewhere in here. It's coming from this end. Let me see here real quick. Here, how about this? There we go. That should kill it. Okay. So let's open this up. And let's switch sides on this window or angel. There we go. So let's jump over and look at what the profile looks like, shall we? Oh, I know what I wanted to draw first of all. I have it in here somewhere, one of these charts. What did I do with it last night? I'm not sure. Here we go. Oh, I got to log in to join me. I'm sorry, guys, with the reboot. Give me 1 second. Join me. And join me. Really? There it is. Okay, in business. Okay, first we will start with ES. Oh, wrong computer. There we go. First we'll start with ES. There we are. Okay, on ES. Number one thing I want to point out on ES, the only point, so this was the point of control that has not been tested right here. See this? Volume point of control, TPO point of control, 2641, and we have the chart once we trade to 2648.75 to 2647, right? Once we trade in those areas, the Chart is repaired above once we trade to 26.48.75. The market doesn't have an obligation to repair the chart up there, but that is where it'll be aiming for, right? Once it gets there, that's where the chart will be aiming for to repair. We traded to, so understand, this is the last piece that wants to get repaired. After it repairs this, this is the next logical location, right? Overnight, we traded up to 26.39.75. That plopped us right underneath the point of control, and that we had this little area that needed to be repaired, and it was right into essentially value area low. I realized the value area low comes down to right to this point, but we pushed into the meat, right? Just like we always think about every day. Where's our friends? These are our friends, right? If you're short, you're going to have to work through these guys. That's exactly what happened overnight. Normally, in a strong market, you would expect to get into the 26.44. It didn't happen. Maybe it'll happen in today's day session. The issue below is when you look at the profile below, there's nothing to fix down here. See how we came down? This was the last piece that needed to get fixed right in here. And see how we just traded below? And once we fixed it, and I wrote it on the chart yesterday, once we repaired this, the market was repaired to the downside. So that's great. We got the reversal. Here's the problem with the reversal. Now that we're opening, because we're currently trading at 26.29.75. Here's the problem. And this is adjusted for this is on the March 18 contract. There's nothing to fix down here, right? If we look at this market, right, it would be relatively easy. Doesn't mean it will. It would simply be relatively easy for the market to trade underneath here. And so if you look at what's behind there is what I'm interested. So once we get behind, right, we have an NVPOC and a point of control sitting at 26.03, 26.04. I expect a response there. That would do two things. It would get us below the swing low to get a panic out, right? And so the important areas, I'm telling you what they are right now: 26.03, 26.04, 25.98, and 25.98, right? None of this really needs to be repaired. It's pretty smooth in the profiles, right? Which means, okay, so the market judges the reversal of where it needs to repair the profile, right? So if you look underneath here of what really needs to be fixed, it's all the way back here at 25.84 is the first place I found that really stood out where the profile needed to get repaired. Behind 25.84, you have 83.25, and you had the volume profile, and it's really this little piece right here starting at 25.84.50 that needs to get repaired. So if I had to pick a place on the chart where I want to trade, 25.84. Problem is that's 50 points away, right? We're going to have a pretty horrendous day. Could we have that horrendous day? We can, because we have liquidity split between two contracts, but that's a lot down, right, to call. That's more likely a tomorrow situation than a today situation. So working our way backwards from that, where would I expect responses? If I really wanted to make sure I caught him on a stretch, we're likely to try to catch a bounce off the low. That's a no-brainer, right? People are going to look at there and go, oh, that's a double bottom, right? So just decide whether you can take the stop. But 26.08 to wherever this swing low is right here, which would be approximately 26.06, right? Expect an attempt to hold that area. First time in, if we get down there, notice that the volume point of control and the TPO point of control are split on this profile, right? That adds weakness. Why does it add weakness? It's purely, if you think about it psychologically, you have half the world trading on a TPO, you have the other half operating on a volume profile. The volume profile, right, you'll see when it's split, see how they attempted to hold that point of control the first time in? And they did, but then it failed. When you have these profiles split like this, you split the buying power of the market, essentially, is what you end up doing, right? Over here, the buying power is joined. I would expect a response out of 26.03. Additionally, it would be a pretty big stretch from 26.27, right, from the close. And it would put us in at, although why is it showing like that? Because, oh, I see why. I'm off. I apologize. So from 26.30, I see why. From 26.32.75, got it now, down to 26.03 is almost a 30-point stretch. Is that right? 27 points? 30 points. I would expect a response from that area if it stretches down. If we open up, we're currently trading at 26.29, and we fail in the first half hour to close back into this range, right? So I want to show you a picture of what this looks like when things go awry, okay? So you understand how the neighborhoods work. See over here on this date, okay, we opened up, right? Here was the close. We actually gapped up, but we failed to get out of the neighborhood, right? So I want to show you how this works, okay? See here where we had open drive lower, pushed all the way through this neighborhood, cleaned up the anomalies in this profile down here to the left, overshot it a bit, and then once all this was fixed, there was absolutely nothing holding us back from moving all the way back. This profile, see how this profile really didn't need to get fixed, and this one did? The market went to where the market needed to get fixed, got finished, and went back up. If I use the same reasoning, okay, and I can show you that reasoning multiple times, right? When I look at this profile, right, see how we closed up here? See how this profile needed to get fixed right down here? We came back, we fixed it, we went on our way. So when I look at the profile from over here and what needs to be fixed, the problem with this profile is everything that needs to get fixed is underneath 2608. Okay, so it can get slippery through here because no one's going to have a lot of motivation. It's going to be hard to defend any one particular area. So what do I look for in here? It doesn't mean we can't reverse. What I look for, oh, you can't see the pointer. I'm sorry, guys. How about now? Let me go back through this. Nothing in here needs to get repaired, Mari. I apologize. I'll do that one more time. So let me go back and show y'all. Back over here. Okay, so this is a good example. See when we were up here, see how this profile really doesn't need to get fixed. It's not a great profile, but the point of control, the TPOs all together, and there's not a lot of damage to this profile. It's a pretty much, it's a bottom-shaped bell curve, but it's a bell curve, and everything's fine with it, right? So see the market here when we opened up? This is where this little area right here needed to get repaired. We opened up, we repaired this area, then we attempted up. We couldn't get out of the value area, and we chopped for the first hour and a half. That makes sense. When we opened inside prior days value area, we chop. This didn't need to get fixed. This needed to get fixed all the way down to this letter J right here, okay? Once the market fixed, right, it was done with its business. It overshot a little bit, but it repaired the profile, and then it shot straight back up. All was good, right? It's a great example. I can give you one more example. Okay, so when you look in here, see this profile? We closed up here. See all of this was a damage. Let's just make it easy. It's damage to the profile. Has to be repaired. We open up on this day, and we come back, and we see once we repair all the damage to the profile, the market can go about its way. It's like, oh, it's done. It didn't have any desire to come back in and fix this area. Okay, so we could move along our way, and this left this area to be repaired, that 2587. So if you sneak over, we simply gapped up, and when we never came back in, right? So why is that an issue? Because when you look at this profile has been fixed. Remember yesterday in the notes I wrote, once this area gets repaired, the market can move along. And it did. It came in, tested into this area, fixed this part of the profile, and then we pushed up, right? So the problem that leaves us with is if we get underneath 2629, which is about where we're trading, and we consolidate underneath it, the only place on the profile underneath that gets repaired, needs to get repaired, is all the way back in here a little bit. But really the profile that needs to get fixed is this one back over here. It's a long way away, 2584. I'm not calling for 2584, but that's what needs to get. Oops, hold on a second. I need to plug in my phone. Okay, so that's ES. Let's look at NQ really quickly. I'm obviously not going to be ready by the open. Let's go to NQ so you get a lay of the land. On NQ. Here's my NQ profile. There we go. March 18. Okay, we are trading at 63.16, right? There's nothing to repair up here. As I said yesterday morning, this acted as resistance, right? This double distribution acted as resistance. we are making lower highs all the way through here. I realize we had 1 point, but really we're making net lower highs all the way through here, right? So that has to be reversed. So the first thing is, if we're trading above yesterday's high, the first thing I want you to notice, all the points of control have been tested. So above 63.2650, we actually have fuel to push very much to the upside. But what do I want to see? I want to see above 63.2650 and consolidating. Then I know we can push out from that point. If I look behind that location, let me draw a line there underneath. Notice there's nothing to fix. Okay, very important. There's nothing to fix underneath. That's a problem, actually, believe it or not. I come back here and I look what's underneath. Okay, see this profile? Doesn't need to be fixed. So it's actually a pretty nice profile. If I get behind here, right, which brings up 62.38, not a, which is a big stretch, right? So I'd expect an attempt to hold that 62.48 area, right? Just because of how big a stretch it is. But what the market will want to fix back here is this. Market will want to fix the area from 62.21 down to 61.83, specifically 61.99 to 61.83, and perhaps anticipate a little bit of an overshot. That is a big stretch from where we're trading, right? We're at 63.14, 100 down would put us at 62.14. We've had 120 and 130 points down. That puts us this in the purview of what is achievable. So if we melt, sorry, I can't see the pointer again. I apologize. I don't know why it's switching. Let me go to that. This is what needs to get repaired. If we melt, once this gets repaired, this is the top of an open window, 61.43. You should be putting this in your notes because we forget about it when it's in real time. Top of an open window, that's Dalton's gap, and that closes the closing print of the market at 61.08. And then we have a TPO and a volume point of control at 60.81. I doubt we get there for multiple obvious reasons, right? And I'm letting the first half hour go. I have no desire or need to press myself in this particular environment, right? I don't have any idea. We've had 60 to 100 point ranges. I don't care to get run over in 60 to 100 point ranges on NQ. I'll let it settle out. That's what it looks like below. The first thing that has to happen in order for that to happen, right, is we have to trade below 62.87, right? From yesterday, we have to trade below 62.87. So your two key elements are 62.87 to 63.2650. Have that written down in your notes, right? Trading above and consolidating above, there's not much holding us this way. Trading below 62.85, there's not much holding us back the other way, right? NQ is really getting pretty sloppy. I doubt they let him have a free ride back to the upside. My guess it was, one other important point. If we trade below, then trap back into 62.58, watch for the slingshot back to the upside. My trade plan is to wait, let the algos trigger me in for this morning, and then look for entries in the room off the half-hour bars, drawing the volume profiles to set up our backside test entries. And I'll be doing that actively through the room, right? Protect your capital, guys, is all I can say. It's the end of the month. You have a lot of sloshing around. Bitcoin's at 15K, by the way. Just that's where the speculation is right now. That's totally cool. Let's see what the market does today. I expect the first time into this white zone, just like we just rejected on ES out of the white zone, I expect this to give me trade location some point today. So anyways, that's all I've got. I will talk to y'all. Give me just a minute to get everything set up. Tick is 435, by the way, internals, right? Let me pull that up. Advancers are only 917. That is not a strong start to the day by any stretch of the imagination, right? I'd give this time to work itself out. That is not the conditions where we usually get an open drive higher. Just be aware of that. Okay, that's my 2 cents. I'll keep y'all updated on that. That's an ugly open on NQ, by the way. On ES, excuse me, from where we were relative to where we were last night. I need to open up this profile. There we go. And again, tick is negative 472. Keep that in mind. And liquidity is split between two different products. Okay. I want to say that again. Liquidity is split between two different products. And give me a second. I'm pulling my 30-minute charts and starting to work on those right now. And keep pushing towards, by the way, the high of the day. Again, don't be surprised by just massive whipsaws, right? Does anyone have any questions about the trade plan today, guys that are in the room? Realize we tested one tick above the high on NQ and rolled right down. Advancers are still only 957 versus decliners are at 1538. That's not fantastico. It would not surprise me to come down and see us test that white zone on NQ. Let me spread this out a little bit. Again, I don't have a position one way or the other. I'm just watching. New high NQ. ES is into the white zone, by the way. Has to push above in order, obviously, to make progress to the upside. On NQ, a close back below Wednesday's high would be indicative of an issue there. Again, remember, over the next 2 days, in the first half hour, you're going to have hedge funds and mutual funds rolling out of December into the March contract, which is also going to cause odd rotations. in both directions. So keep that in mind as well. Again, the range, the 63.10 to 63.30 is pretty tame relative to yesterday. And you can see ES is struggling into the white zone, assuming this is updating correctly, which it is. Notice the bid on H is 9 contracts on the bid, right? It's a big deal. So the hard thing is you cannot tell whether this is legitimate buying or just contract rollover. All the volume just came in on NQ at 63.32.50. 34, the point of control is continuously moving up. All that volume, a huge chunk of volume just went off at 63.34. This chart is so screwed up. I see what's wrong with this. I apologize. All these charts are not automatically updating. Give me 1 second here. I see what the problem is. Chart settings. Oh, it is right. Okay. 63.31. My charts are messed up on my half-hour charts. The rollover just totally jacks up my charts. All I can say about that. My TradeStation charts are all right, but my ES charts are not all right. I mean, my Sierra charts are not okay. They're messed up. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes to settle out and see if I can work on it. Notice ES is not responding with NQ. Oddly enough, it's hard to tell if that's legit or not when you have contract rollover. It's a very hard read. I'm sure Bookmap looks like a ghost town. Ian, I agree. That's why I'm just going to wait out the first half hour and let them work themselves through whatever they need to work themselves through. Remember, you got to get underneath your last seller, your last buyer. That's the first clue that there's an issue here, right? If we don't get underneath this guy, right? We don't get underneath this guy, nothing's wrong here, right? That's really important to digest. Personally, I don't buy the gap, the push up, but that's me personally. Maybe just be my bias. I don't, as far as an actual read goes, I don't have an actual read other than to say the advancers have improved, but tick sucks. We're still at 1200. I would normally fade this move on any other day of the week. I'd be fading this thing out. All the volume on that bar went off at the high, all of it. So for those of you who haven't traded for a long time, when liquidity gets split, moves get weird. That's all there is to it, right? We're back to test that large volume point of control at 63. We're just underneath at 63.2150. And that was from the impulse move up from yesterday. That was the top of that bar. So holding underneath that 63.2150 would open us up for a retest of the low. Like I said, normally I don't buy that particular setup, but we have to get underneath the last seller is the bottom line. So the point of control from this particular bar so far is 63.24 for the open for today. You see it sitting up there? You see all the volume that went off there on NQ? And on ES, we're just passengers at this point. Backside tested that 63.24, which is the current point of control off that half-hour bar. Again, I'll be pointing this out in real time without switching the charts back and forth. Again, it's hard to tell with this whether this is legitimate selling or if this is just contract rollover. And it's moving fast, guys. Like the dome is just thin as heck. So again, we've attempted above Wednesday's high on NQ. We haven't come anywhere close on ES, and we've trapped back in. Failure to get above 63.25. Failure to get back above opens us for a test down to 6,300, right? Will it do it? I'm not going to commit to a read in this environment just yet. I'll wait till the first half hour gets out and they're done rolling over whatever they need to roll over. Back to the point of control. Tick has turned positive. Yeah, the dome is illiquid. Like I said, I would lean towards protecting my capital in this kind of environment. People who, that always falls on deaf ears when I say that. So I'm not worried about it one way or the other. Backside tested at 63.25.75. And ES attempting to push. Ticks improving. Actually, advancers decliners back up to over 1,400 on ES. So weird open. I think you need a lot of patience to let trades work out through here. So Again, I'm hunting. What are we hunting for, right? Really important idea here. I'm hunting for a push down. Wrong color. Push down. Get above my last seller, 50, 60 back, and return. I'm not trying to figure out whether we push out of the open or not. That's really not my business, right? If we push, that's great. I'm trying to catch, remember, I'm trying to catch people who are panicking off guard, get above my last seller, look for a retrace against this seller for a swing back to the upside. That's what I'm trying to work out. If they decide they want to take this thing straight up, then they do it without me. I don't have a short indication yet, other than what I pointed out, which is we attempted above Wednesday's high, we've closed back in, and unless we close back out again, if you're an aggressive trader, if we close back out again, then you know you've got to cover your short. As long as this holds, right, you have a good chance of pushing back into the white zone. So I'm pointing out the setup as I see it. That's how I see it, right? We've pushed into the white zone. This is resistance until we get above on ES, right? And normally, like I said, if we weren't splitting liquidity, I'd be short here under most circumstances, for better or for worse, particularly with this. As long as this closed below Wednesday's high, and I'd be using my stop. My hard stop would be behind this point, but I'd like to see this hold in for a push down into the white zone. So will that work or not? I'm pretty hesitant to short when they split the liquidity. I'm pretty hesitant to trade when they split the liquidity. Weird moves happen on days like today. And you can see they're already, the range has come in from prior days in the first 10 minutes. We're only 22 points on NQ range wise. Whereas we've had 100 point first half hours and 60 point first half hours. That's good. We need it to come in so it's more easily tradable. Poking his head back above Wednesday's high. Advanced decline continues to improve on ES. Again, I still think that's resistance until it's broken. I hate contract rollover. It totally skews what's otherwise a clear picture. Internals are improving, just so you know, on the market. They don't look horrible. And this is showing to be open auction, right? We're chopping back and forth. Why are we in open auction? Because we are still stuck inside of the balance area from the fifth, which is what we have to get above. It looks like that's what we need to get above. So the question is, do we hold above? So there's two important questions on NQ. Can we hold above 63.13, number one, right? And can we get above 63.44? That's where we break, quote, loose, right? So it has to get below 63.16 to fall back into the range. And we're just chopping. So just give it a couple minutes to work itself out. Ron, do you have a different read? Or Bill or any of the guys I rely on? Because I don't see a different read. And we're just dancing on Wednesday's high, and they'll decide to take it one way or the other. So I'm seeing patiently. I'm still looking in the dome, and I'm looking ESH versus 18 versus ESZ 17. And they both have crappy liquidity. ESZ still better than ESH. Chart settings. If you want to cheat on a pretty easy entry and stop, if you put your stop just behind this location here, you've got a potential roll to the downside. I don't have a short signal other than this is resistance, but it's a small stop. That being said, there's no need to take his trade just because it's a small stop. You got to have a logic behind it. Tick continues to improve. Price continues to improve. Internals continue to improve. So we'll see if they can drive it. And we haven't been able to close back above Wednesday's high yet. When it does, if it does, they're making it hard, right? It's going to be fast either way. Expect algos in the next 3 minutes. Again, this against this is the play right now, but there's no indication. There's no way to tell what the way the tick is right now that that's the right move. And the volatility's dropped considerably. And that makes sense because what you mostly have going on are people swapping. Remember, there's a large trillions of dollars going on of swapping March contracts for December, or vice versa, December for March contracts, right? So that's why you're getting a whole sway of money coming one way and a whole sway of money coming the other way. And they're trying to do it in as controlled an environment as they can, right? That rollover is a lot tougher when there's a high degree of volatility, right? So you're getting huge chunks of liquidity thrown around. Usually that ends after the first hour, and then it picks back up at the last hour. Wow. Just no volatility. And that makes sense if you're trying to freeze something up. They'd want to try to do their best to control that environment. Remember, it's not a big deal if it's 1 or 2 ticks and you're trading 1 or 2 contracts. If you're rolling over tens of thousands of contracts, that's a lot of money. I'll be right back, guys. Ha! I guess we found the sellers, huh? Did anyone take the short? This is a test of Globex low. And all the way back on NQ. Wow. They just impressive. Doink. What does that tell you when we come right off of Globex low like that? Mechanical traders, locals, right? So the point of control for the first half hour was 63.24. That's what it's got to get above in order to push. Okay, if it can't, then you're open to retesting. Really, it's holding below 63.21. That's where the dogfight is. It's this right here. They're dogfighting between the point of control from this up bar from yesterday afternoon and this point of control here. So holding underneath 63.21, you'll notice we're parked right there, right? That's the point of control from this up bar, right? And that's what we're dogfighting out. You'll see that we tried to get underneath yesterday, trap back above. That's what gave us the launch to the upside. And that's where they're duking it out right here. They're trying to decide, do we want to hold this 21? Because they know if they don't hold that 21, right, down we can roll. There's not a big chunk of volume down here to defend on this bar, right? So this is the whole battle right here. And then we're also battling out from this bar right here. Here's all the volume, and we haven't been able to come up and test. See how we backside tested yesterday? We haven't been able to come up and test this point of control. This really lays out the battle for NQ on a higher time frame for today, right? My concern would be if we consolidate underneath, it'd be relatively easy to go down. We're not in that situation yet. We actually look okay for the moment. We just haven't fallen apart yet. We're not falling apart yet. So, and you can see they're fighting to hold above that 63.21. If we hold up against that 63.21, that's your target to the upside right there. So again, this data, there's not a gap here. So I'm having to see chart settings, load on weekend, save data. How do I automatically reload all the data? Ron, is there a button I can tag that'll just reload everything? Oh, you know, I can do this. Here we go. Apply. Okay. Contract rollover. Back. Future contract date rolled rollover. Okay. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to switch back so it would reload the data to see if it looks different. It doesn't. So that's fine. It's frustrating when we get rollover having to change all those contracts, but no big deal. We got it under control. So again, underneath 63.20, room to the downside in my eyes. Above 63.24, room to 63.39, and that's what they're duking out right now. Again, this was pretty interesting close back in. You would normally expect, I would have thought we could get it pushed back to 6,300, but did anyone take the short against that high on that trap back in on Wednesday? Second test of Globex low. No problem, Ari. I thought it was hard. Like I said, split liquidity is difficult. I thought this is an important trap back in. I thought this is a reasonable short at the back of the white zone, but it's not like it's going anywhere very quickly. So now you know, above 63.24, look for a push to 63.39. If we don't get back above 24, and I'm probably going to attempt a short test if we can get back up against this area a second time on a rebound. I will probably attempt to grab a short in this location. They may not give it to me. They may just rip it straight down, which is fine. No problem, because then I'll take it from the other side. I'm good with longs too. Really? You'll have to show me later. That's really helpful, Ron, because I tell you, I was here late last night trying to get my charts fixed, and it sucked. I was literally just grinding through every chart trying to fix it for the contract rollover. Guys, there's nothing to help us from a point of control standpoint down here. There's just nothing in here. We have a TPO standpoint to help us out over here, but from a point of control off of a half-hour time frame, which is what I use, going back to this, there's nothing to help us. It doesn't mean it can't reverse. I just don't have anything through here that I would normally look for. You can see that served as resistance. We don't have any panic low. That's the last panic low we had at a rotation down. See how we backside tested that? That's what I'd be looking for. I don't have any of that, right? Got it. So Ron's pointing out that 63.14 for the sell off the all-time high, the volume point of control is 63.14 and a quarter, which is we're just below that from the all-time high. So that would be all of this cumulatively where we're sitting. Again, I prefer to draw it up off the half-hour time frame, and I just don't have anything there. I'm working on it. ES is not falling apart. And again, the liquidity is mega thin. So I want to let you, I'm cutting my trade size when I'm taking trades, right? Because I don't want to get caught in some crazy move while it's illiquid. Tick is neutral. We're actually at 1,600 advancers. That's actually relatively bullish. And so don't get overly bearish in this situation. Above 63.32, I'd show it as a breakout. Of course, that's a no shock report, right, on NQ. We're still inside the first half-hour bar, right? That argues for balance. Well, they got it to settle down so they could roll over the contracts. That's good. Backside testing those 2 points of control in the half hour, that 22 to 24 area on NQ. And ES has no range. It's the smallest range we've had all week. So again, all that argues just for patience. Nice, Ian. I don't take the 50 RT when we haven't broken IB high or low, but good job. Again, up to test the points of control from the first half hour. This is just a chop fest in my eyes. You do have an easy short on ES against the high of the day. It would be less than a point, assuming it doesn't break a new high. But again, pointing out the obvious there, I don't have a clear read on, oh, it's short. Other than it's in the white zone, but it spent a ton of time in the white zone. Again, 63.24 has become pretty important at this point on NQ. It's got to get above. I would look for a backside test if it did, assuming it didn't eject straight away. Don't get overly active in this environment, guys. It'll clear up. If you can't handle it, going without you. That's the only people who have problems with this, right? Otherwise, you read the market. Remember, what we want to do is what the market wants to do. And right now, the market's saying we want to chop. Now they'll clear it up sooner or later, but right now they're saying I want to chop. Now they're actually pushing. See if they can push out. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I agree. Above that 24, right? One tick of the high. One tick of the high on ES. Sorry about that, guys. I'll kill it. Poking its head back above Wednesday's high on NQ. We're still inside the first half hour on NQ, by the way, and it's the smallest range of the week. Close above Wednesday's high again. That's the first close above. They tried several times. Horrible trading conditions. Look at that. It's just at a dead stall. And guys, I almost have zero desire to trade this. This is the narrowest range of the week. If anyone else has it figured out, you're welcome to it, but it's horrible as far as I can tell. Well, I'm not getting frustrated at all. I already know I don't see any trades, and I'm cool with that. This is not my trading environment, so I'm all right with it. If someone wants to be the master of a thin trade, you be my guest. That's it's all to you. I'm not frustrated at all. I just know that's not my market. I know what I was looking for, which is every day we've opened up, and the opening print has been the low print. It's just not my market. That's all there is to it. So I'm not going to try to master something I'm not good at for the sake of mastering it randomly, right? I don't see any reason. I said if we were above 24, we could go to 39. Still think we can go to 39. So, and as a matter of fact, I think we can go to 52. I think we've got room on the upside holding above. So I'm not fighting this at all. I'm pretty comfortable with the way I am, where it's at. It's just jerky and not non-liquid. That's all. It doesn't mean it can't go up. I think it's really a question of what are you comfortable trading and how are you comfortable making money. I certainly wouldn't want to be short above Wednesday's high. Like I said, I think above those points of control, there's room to the upside. Right past 63.39. Like I said, there's nothing super strong up here to hold NQ back. I want to be really, really uber clear on that. I'm not eager to short up here. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. If I'm going to lose money, it's not going to be in this environment. Tick is not confirming the move up, just as a side note. Advanced decliners are. Tick isn't. Just means tick hasn't woken up yet. Again, the short had to be a hold of a close below Wednesday's high. You see how mechanically perfectly they got that? As soon as we closed above, it was all over for them. I'll be back in a minute and grab myself a little bit of food. Oh, seriously. Perfect conditions to squeeze some nervous shorts. Peter said that earlier. When it's quiet, you can squeeze really easily. You probably get a response back up from 63.30 first time back. Watch for range expansion. That was a very frustrating open. Notice we modified the algo a little bit. It's only fired on NQ, 2 longs. One here that didn't trigger. It triggered a long on this bar right here. That's the only 2 longs. We modified it. And on ES, same thing. It had one short, but it never triggered. Excuse me, 2 shorts. Triggered right there. You had to be quick to cover it. And this flipped long, long, long right here. This was long as well. You had to be pretty crafty on the edge there. It's really the first bar. The first, if you get a signal of 3, it's the first out. It's the first to signal the long. So there'll be continued modifications on that algo. You have to continuously modify it to adjust for range. You know what, guys? Thank y'all for joining us on YouTube. I've got to kill this now. Not what I wanted. Wow, look at that. Straight through. Simon.